Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today we're going to talk about small talk. Now, small talk is something which British people love. We are the experts at having conversations about, well, nothing really. I think it's because we are a little bit uncomfortable with silence. So it's always very important for us to be making a conversation. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is because we like people to feel comfortable. And some British people just like to chat. Okay, so let's look at small talk and some of the ways we make small talk. Well, there's a number of scenarios. Number one, I suppose, is at the bus stop. Oh, terrible weather, isn't it? Yeah, it's awful. Did you see the shower yesterday? Oh, it was terrible. And what about that thunder last week? Oh, really, we've had no summer. Summer is gone. Summer has finished. Now, we don't usually do this in the cities, but in the countryside or anywhere really, this kind of conversation can easily take place. Now, it depends exactly where you are, if you're in a residential area or elsewhere, you can often hear these conversations. Another place might be at work. You start a new job, you don't really know anyone, and then you find yourself at the coffee machine talking to someone that you don't know from another department. And the conversation goes something like this. Oh, did you have trouble getting in today? The traffic was so heavy. Oh, the traffic was terrible. But it wasn't as bad as yesterday. Yeah, it was bad yesterday. Yes, but those roadworks on the motorway. Oh, which way do you come in? Oh, I come in from the south. Oh, well then. Yeah, you probably would have less problems than I have. Perhaps something about small talk is the strange thing is that it can just go on and on and on. And you find yourself in a really bizarre conversation talking about nothing. Yet, this is a very necessary part of UK living. I think we've all been in jobs where you're suddenly taken away to a meeting room, or maybe if it's appraisal time, you're taken away to the meeting room and your boss says, everything is fine, but we don't think you're really a good team player because sometimes you just answer with yes and no, and you don't seem to engage in conversation. Now, I've seen this happen to quite a few people, and it's purely because they don't like small talk or they don't understand how necessary it is in British culture. Small talk can be about anything: the weather, the traffic, movies and TV shows, places to travel to. But the one thing that never happens in small talk is it never becomes personal. You both talk about something like an interest, a TV show, the traffic, the weather. You say how you feel about it, but you don't ever talk about yourself within it. So, good small talk is never on personal issues like, oh, I feel terrible today, I feel sad today. It may reach as far as pets. Oh, the cat was screaming before I left this morning, something like that. But the idea of small talk is that it isn't personal. There's a good reason for that. It's because personal things, if you really get involved in them, they're more difficult to walk away from. I mean, if you have a conversation at a bus stop with someone about something really personal, and then the person says, here's my bus, bye, it leaves a kind of an emptiness. Whereas if you're talking about the weather, it's very easy just to say, oh, here's my bus, bye then. And that's the purpose of small talk. It's a way to make you feel comfortable, to make you feel welcome, and to communicate, but by saying nothing. It's very British and very cultural. And as far as I can see, it's not something which Americans are particularly good at. Now, often some people open up small talk with something negative. You know, I was in the library the other day and someone came up to me. They were just walking past and they said, oh, you know, this is terrible, this library now. It's really been dumbed down, hasn't it? And I was quite taken aback, first of all, that the person was making a reference to the library being dumbed down because the government had just spent millions refurbishing it. And when the person said this to me, I looked around and said, dumbed down? I don't think so, actually. I think it's really nice now that it has computers in here. And the person was really taken aback and they said, oh, you don't think it's dumbed down? Okay. And they just walked away because they were looking for a negative response to open a conversation, to thrive in negativity for a moment. By the way, dumbed down means standards lowered or offering something at a lower standard than before. Nothing to do with cost. It's about quality if something's been dumbed down. Now, I mention this because British people in small talk are often very, very negative, you know? You can hear words like, oh, that's shocking. That's really bad, isn't it? Did you see the train this morning? How full it was? That's absolutely unacceptable, isn't it? Really shocking. Absolutely awful. And they thrive in this purely because it's simply a conversation. And to have a negative conversation is for some people much more appealing than having a positive one. So often small talk means you can be pulled into this negative way of thinking and speaking. You have to be quite strong to avoid that because if you're very polite and you just kind of smile at people in the way I do, it's often a sign that you accept what they're saying. And sometimes that's better than going into a conflict, you know? But small talk isn't designed for that. Small talk is when you basically have a conversation about nothing. That's the idea. So it's never going to be about politics, religion, any kind of standard of life. It may be about a change in the company. Oh, did you see what they've done with the restaurant upstairs? Yeah, that's terrible, isn't it? They've converted it just into a takeaway. That's shocking, isn't it? I mean, how are we supposed to eat? Not everyone likes to go out. So you can hear there the ideas of small talk. So they could be about weather, they could be about maybe travel or news about travel or traffic, getting to work, but not really about where you've been on holiday. They could be about a news story, pets, perhaps. They could even be about art and culture. But the golden rule is they're not personal. Now, some of you struggle with small talk because you really don't know what to say, but it's actually really easy. If someone else initiates small talk with you, you just really need to give an answer. Smile and say, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. If you really don't know what to say, Initiating small talk might be a little bit more difficult, but the weather is almost certainly something which everyone can do. Oh, terrible weather today, isn't it? Yeah. Or even simply to say, this coffee's disgusting, but we always drink it, don't we? If you're at the coffee machine. Or, oh, I can't believe this coffee machine's not working again. Yeah, it was the same last week. Yeah, it was terrible. They called the engineer. Really? Yeah, he's coming next week. Oh, well, that's good to know, isn't it? Yes, it is, because we love our coffee. I bring coffee in. Really? Do you? Yes. And it can go on for hours. It's like a little dance that you do with someone. Americans tend to be more personal in small talk. Some of them just don't use it, but those that do often wander into subjects like hobbies, weekend plans. You see that in the UK sometimes too, especially now since we're kind of dominated by American media. And TV shows like Friends, which tell us that living with strangers or people we don't really know is fine. That's very not British. We are a little bit more cynical and suspicious of people. There's also other reasons why small talk is sometimes better than a real conversation because it avoids difficult subjects. For example, I have a neighbor who's very noisy. I'm aware that she doesn't like to talk to me, and I don't particularly enjoy talking to her. But yet, if we meet each other, it is absolutely necessary to comment on the weather, or to smile and say, "Hi, how are you?" The conversation might even go as far as perhaps "How's things?" But of course, nothing personal, and neither of us stop walking so we can be out of each other's way within seconds. I think it's only British people who can smile at others in a way that lets them know that we really, really don't like them. It's very dysfunctional. I don't know why we do it, but we do. The other thing about small talk is you really have to be in the mood for it. Okay. So, for example, even on italki, sometimes some students they'll try to make small talk with me, which is fine. I love small talk. But if I'm not in the mood for it, I think, here's this student again. And I just know they're going to be asking me all about the weather. And I just don't feel like talking about that today. It doesn't happen very often. Another example might be if you're at the coffee machine, you see someone walking towards you and you think, oh, geez, not him. No, go, no. Where can I go? Oh, let me just take my coffee and disappear because I really, really don't want to be in that conversation about um, the twins who work in accounts and how they made a mistake yesterday. So it can be personal about other people, but it can't be personal about you. Okay, and that's the key to making good small talk. By the way, speaking of the word talk, let's do some idioms because there's a few I want to tell you about with the word talk in there. One of them is to be talk of the town, or some people say talk of the wash house. And that idiom refers to a topic or a person that's widely discussed in the community, maybe because they've done something wrong, perhaps, or because they've done something right, like got a promotion, for example. So my friend Bob, oh, he's talk of the town right now because he's just moved to Africa. Someone who's actually escaped from this company, for example. Okay, another one, might be, oh, Sarah, oh, she's talk of the wash house because she's pregnant. Um, Talk of the wash house. We say wash house because in the days before we had indoor plumbing and washing machines, we used to have buildings that we could take our washing to, and the women would do their washing together. Now, I'm going back 150 years here, okay? It's not within my lifetime. But in the days before washing machines and indoor plumbing, women would gather at the wash house to do their laundry. And of course, they would also get the gossip there. So that's how someone could be talk of the wash house or talk of the town. Another thing you might hear about talking is to talk the hind legs of a donkey. To talk the hind legs of a donkey. This is one of my favorite idioms. Hind legs means back legs. Okay, so if you talk the hind legs of a donkey, this humorous idiom is describing someone who is exceptionally talkative. And it could be with small talk, it could be in lengthy conversations, it could be gossip, and it emphasizes their ability to talk exhaustively. I'm like that. I could talk the hind legs off a donkey very easily. I mean, I do this podcast every day, so I always have something to say, but it's usually something we say about somebody else. Okay. Oh, did you meet John yesterday? Oh, he could talk the hind legs off a donkey. I run when I see him coming. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a criticism, it's more just a commentary of the person's behavior. Okay, there we are. So that's just a few idioms there to go with the word talk. Oh, and speaking of talk, do you know, last night I put on the radio. I couldn't sleep very well. And the next thing I know, there was that pop song. Do you remember Modern Talking and the song Brother Louie? I'm not going to sing it because the birds will fly away and the storm will get worse. But do you remember Brother Louie? You're so good, can't you see, Brother Louie, Louie, Louie? Because of the rhythm of that song, it has a very different kind of pop beat. It was very popular in Arabia. When I was there, everyone was singing it. Very interesting, Brother Louie. And of course, the other day, I was talking about Tracy Chapman on this podcast. And I mentioned her song about finally the tables are beginning to turn. That was a lyric from a Tracy Chapman song. But that song was actually called Talking About a Revolution. I love Tracy Chapman. I mean, she talks about so many things. Very good. So that's another song if you're looking for a little English treat today. Yes, two songs there. Modern Talking Brother Louie and Tracy Chapman with Talking About a Revolution. So remember, if you're caught at the coffee machine today by someone who's talking the hind legs off a donkey using small talk, the good thing about small talk is you're able just to walk away from it because it's so impersonal. You can just smile and say, yeah, you're right. The traffic was so late today. See you. Or a common way to leave small talk would be catch you in a bit. Catch you in a bit. It means see you later. Okay? Of course, you wouldn't say that at a bus stop because you probably won't see the person again unless, of course, you're unlucky enough to be living across the road from them, as I am with one of my neighbors. But anyway, yeah, so at the coffee machine, catch you in a bit. Catch you in a bit, and then you can just back away slowly or just turn around and walk away. Now, you couldn't do that in a deep conversation. So that makes small talk nice and good and kind of redeems it a little bit. because you're free just to walk. And there we are. That's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this about small talk. And if you're looking for something else to celebrate, today is actually Philippine British Friendship Day. Oh, really? I didn't know that Britain was particularly friendly with the Philippines, but oh, they are lovely people and their food is delicious. Oh, and they're always nurses, aren't they? Filipinas and Filipinos who live in the UK. So that's helpful if you ever get sick. But yeah, so a Philippine British Friendship Day. There's a day that probably no one here will even know about, but it's nice. So if you have a Filipino neighbor or friend, or if there's any Filipinos listening, yeah, let's do small talk. Hello. Oh, nice to meet you. Yes. Weather's terrible here compared to the Philippines, isn't it? Oh, awful. Yes, but it was nice yesterday. There we are. See you all. Bye.